What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I want to break down what's happening with the economic calendar for today, what's happening with news involving the markets, and some big news involving Tesla. We saw a little fire breakout at the Giga Fremont. Before I begin the doubles information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below in the description. If you sign up for Moon, deposit $100, you are guaranteed 7 free stocks. And the offer ends very soon in just about 7 days from now. Anyways, for Tesla, I just wanted to say that right now, Tesla's showing a little bit of weakness from a technical standpoint. We are breaking below this trend line of support because we had some bad news that came out again. And once again, guys, we can't solely trade based off technicals every single day on a day-to-day basis because sometimes new pieces of news come out that could affect us even more. And today, the news is a little bit more negative. That's why Tesla's starting to lose this trend line a bit. If we continue to hold it below the trend line, we could be dipping a little bit more to another key support. So I'll break down what that support level is and what you should be watching for in just a couple of minutes. Let's first talk about some data. For today, it is Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 at 9 o'clock a.m., 9:05, and then 9:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Barkin, Waller, Williams, and Bostic all giving speeches from the Fed. Whatever they say could cause some volatility, so watch for that very, very carefully. We also have Barr giving a speech, which is going to be very important later on. We'll have to wait and see how things go, but that's going to be very, very pivotal for the markets, at least for the time being. On top of all of this, we've seen tech rally close to new all-time highs as Nvidia is leading the way, not to mention Apple. And we're seeing other changes right over here, such as the Dow Jones continuing this push. However, with this all happening, we'll be watching to see if this continues amidst Nvidia's earnings. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon has signaled on Monday that his retirement might be coming sooner than previously anticipated. He is 68 years old, and he's done a great job at the company. So we'll see what ends up happening, at least moving forward. Lowe's had its earnings, so did many others. I'll talk about that in just a minute. And Red Lobster has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, sadly, as it continues to shrink its footprint and is trying to find new buyers to take them over. So that's making some headlines right now. For earnings, just real quick, we had Macy's and Lowe's and AutoZone announced their earnings. For Macy's, they did relatively decent in my personal opinion. If you look at their official numbers, their EPS was about 27 cents, which is above expectations, but revenue was at about 4.85 billion, very close to expectations, with net income actually dropping still 60%. And they're actually not expecting sales to increase, but actually decrease for the fiscal year. So that's what they're saying for guidance, which isn't the best of news for them. So that happening, they are going to be closing about 5 stores, and they have about 2,300 layoffs that they're still continuing to do. So that's not the best of news for them. And we'll see how things go for them moving forward. But overall, the news was, in my opinion, so-so. The earnings was so-so. And we'll see what happens moving forward. Lowe's did relatively well when it comes to earnings. Just real quick before I talk about Tesla, EPS was $3.06 above expectations. Revenue was also above expectations, and they actually are looking for decent earnings. Their projections for 2024 and beyond are above expectations, if not close to them. So that's why the share price is up. Not bad whatsoever, as they also achieved some nice growth. So once again, they beat their first quarter earnings and revenue expectations and good guidance. Anyways, going back to Tesla. So that's it for the overall market. Let's talk about Tesla now. There's been some news that came out that the Fremont Gigafactory suffered another fire, and there's a big investigation that's underway right now. What's very fortunate, very awesome is the fact that there are no injuries. I'm happy about that. And what happened was this fire was announced last night, so it's actually kind of late, and a 2-alarm fire broke out at the Gigafactory. And this actually happened very, very quickly. It took them about 3 hours to get it out, and that did take a while. So that's very important. The fire is still being investigated right now. It it broke out basically uh, very, very quickly. And what excuse me, what essentially happened was it may have actually happened in an oven used in vehicle manufacturing operations. There's a little bit negative news. It may have caused some damage here and there, which is not the best of news for any gigafactory or any factory in general. So that's a little bit negative. The gigafactory in Fremont, California, is known for having a lot of fires. This actually happened many times in the past, from 2014 to 2018, not to mention 2019 and 2021. With this happening, sometimes this does end up leading to some pauses in production. They're not actually giving us much further information for now about whether or not that's going to happen, so we'll just have to wait and see. But this is some pretty big news. Fortunately, no one got injured. I am happy about that, and we'll see what else happens moving forward. There's also a lot of talk about how Tesla has another amount of job cuts coming up, and they're still continuing with these. They haven't really finished all of their layoffs that they have to be doing, and they're going to be slashing at least 10% of the company's workforce. So that's not the best of news, but with this news coming out, once again, they're going to likely extend the job cuts even going into June. So why is this not the best of news? Well, it is good news to some extent since it's going to help them cut costs, but Tesla may be letting go of some very, very great employees, great managers, great executives, which could still be not the best for the company. So there's two different ways you could look at it. I want to be kind of like unbiased when saying it, so there's good and bad that will come from this, and we'll just have to see what happens as time goes on. Anyways, moving forward, I just wanted to break down what's happening to Tesla now. It's going to depend a lot on what happens, at least for the markets for the time being. Looking at the hourly time, hourly time frame, excuse me, we have these EMAs in the 175 area. If we break through them, Tesla could be pushing back up to 176 and 178. If we fail to break through any of the EMAs and our trend line, our next target is going to be all the way down to about 172. Look at the current pattern right here, does kind of resemble like a head and shoulders. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla kind of pops a bit upon open, hitting 174, and the odds do favor a test of 172. So just be mindful of that. Might be a little dip on Tesla with this negative news that's come out. And there's also even more stuff I'll be talking about later. But for now, there does look like there might be a dip to 172, then a bounce. So watch for a little pop and drop like move for Tesla and a test of that 172 area. On top of that, when it comes to SPY and the others, we're going to be looking for a reaction based off what is said by these Fed speakers. We're currently testing the hourly 50 EMA. And like I said in my previous video, we still have a cup and handle like structure. It's still technically valid. So we will see if this ends up playing out or not. If this is a double top leg structure and we're about to get a big rejection, watch the 50 EMA 529.2. If we lose this, we could be dipping down to 528 or even lower levels like that. And if we do dip below 528, then we're going to invalidate the cup and handle and we're going to turn a lot more bearish. If we hold this and get a big bounce in the 529s and start pushing back up to 530, there's a chance we could retest the all-time high again. So if we get a big bounce and break past 530 and hold above it, look for an all-time high retest. If we lose the 50 EMA at 529, we're going to be looking for a dip down towards 528, and we'll see if we lose that or not. But basically, it all depends on the levels, and this will be heavily dictated by a bunch of Fed speakers, so we'll just have to see how things go. For Nvda, dipping a little bit, I did call a dip in my personal opinion. We could actually dip all the way down to about 944 to 940. That's where our 50 EMA happens to be. So we might dip a little bit, then we're going to be looking for a bounce after that just to see how things go. But I do see potential for this to kind of dip and bounce. There is still potential in NVIDIA, in my opinion. So look for that dip to 944, then a nice bounce, and a push back up to about 960, and we'll see how things go moving forward. For Bitcoin, in my personal opinion, has more upside potential. We did come very close to my target, the 72,000 area. We actually reached that just yesterday. Now, for right now, I think that the share price might actually, it depends if it could break 72,000 or not. If not, we could be actually dipping a bit to test our 20 EMA at 70,500. So look for a little dip to 70,500 and a bounce, and we'll see how things move from here. Might try to cool off some indicators for now, and then we'll see what happens moving forward. For the QQQ, the triple Q is also looking like it might dip just a little bit. I could be looking for a test of 452.7. Then we'll see if we get a bounce off that or not. Look for a little dip and a bounce, and then a retest of 455.5. So I might see some sideways price action for now. If we end up losing 452.7, we fail to hold above that, there could be a bigger dip to fill this gap at 451.6. It all depends, but we still have a cup and handle like structure. The pattern is still technically bullish, but we need to see confirmation if this continues or not. For Aapl, in my personal opinion, is still more bullish than bearish as we got a nice break above this 190.5 area. We have resistance at 192. We have support at 190.5. As of right now, I might shuffle in this range, then we'll see which way it breaks from there. For Coinbase, like I said before, we hit 232. This is the level we called out yesterday, but be careful because now we're approaching some tough resistance. It could push a little bit higher between 232 and 235, then continue to shuffle in the 230s for some time. Look for a lot of shuffling for now. That's going to be most likely what ends up happening. Amazon is showing some weakness. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up dipping all the way down closer to the lower 180s. I do think that this might dip a little bit more, and we're going to be looking for a test towards 180 flats very soon. If we do bounce, look for 185 as resistance and 183, but I think that the odds favor it eventually dipping to 180. Meta, same thing, might dip a little bit more. We are looking a little bit more bearish on the technical standpoint. Could be dipping down to 465 and eventually 463. Anyways, that's it for the video. I want to thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. We'll see how things go with all these Fed speakers. So get ready, guys. Know that Tesla has a little bit of weakness on the chart right now because of some bad news. So we will give this some time and see how well it holds up. If we fail to once again break above this white trend line, look for a test of 172. If we break back above this, there is potential for it to rebound, but the odds do favor kind of like a pop and then drop back down to 172. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours. Thank you and peace out.